Hey, what's up, guys? Here are some unsolved mysteries. Mhm. Minutes before 9 p.m. on December 3rd, 1976, 7 gunmen launched an attack when they invaded the home of reggae legend Bob Marley at 56 Hope Road. Bob was grazed in the chest and shot in the arm, while his wife Rita was shot in the head. His manager, Don Taylor, was shot in the legs and torso, and Wailers band manager Louis Griffiths was shot in the torso. No one died. The shooting took place 2 days before the planned Small Jamaica concert organized by Bob Marley to promote peace in the political war that was going on in Jamaica. The attack on Bob Marley was widely believed to be politically motivated. It has been alleged that Lester Lloyd, Jim Brown Cook, was one of the gunmen, but to date, no one has been brought to the book for the attack that nearly robbed the world of the reggae icon. After the incident, Bob Marley went on to live 5 more years, 4 of which he battled with cancer. Now, the cancer that killed Bob Marley, according to 79-year-old Bill Oxley, a former CIA for 29 years, was allegedly a planted cancerous nail in a size 10 All-Star shoes gifted to Bob Marley as an alleged assassination for the American government. Bob Marley died May 11, 1981 at the Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, Florida at age 36. Cause of death was ruled as skin cancer. Lester Coke, popularly known as Jim Brown, was a leading political enforcer for the Jamaica Labour Party in the 1970s and 1980s, and rose to be the head of the feared Shower Posse, which wreaked havoc across the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Lester Coke was earmarked for extradition by the U.S. government and was subsequently arrested and detained in 1992 at the General Penitentiary, now the Tower Hill Adult Correctional Facility. He was arrested until his date for extradition arrived. That day never came. Lester Coke, aka Jim Brown, was burnt to death in his cell in the prison. The cause of the fire was deemed as electrical due to a television set that Lester Coke was allowed to have in his cell. However, many Jamaicans believe that Lester Coke, aka Jim Brown, was a victim of arson and that he was killed to silence him before he could spill his guts to the US authorities. Ironically, Lester Jim Brown Coke's son, Christopher Michael Dudus Coke, was also earmarked for extradition by the US government as he took over the leadership of the Shower Posse. He is now serving a 23-year sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution at Fort Dix in the United States. Accountant Keith Clark met his demise after members of the security forces bombarded their way into his East Kirkland Heights home on May 27, 2010, during a search for now incarcerated Tivoli Gardens strongman Christopher Dudus Cook. Keith Clark was shot 21 times in full view of his family. 3 members of the Jamaica Defense Force have been put on trial for his death, but the reason for his killing is still unknown. These questions still remain. Was it a case of mistaken identity? Were the soldiers shot at as they entered? Was his death ordered because of the belief that he was Coke's accountant? The mystery remains unsolved. Who poisoned the senior cop? The 2012 poisoning death of Senior Superintendent of Police Dathan Henry remains a mystery. A coroner's court ruled that Henry, who was the head of the troubled Clarendon Police Division at the time, was systematically poisoned by rat insecticide, but to this day, there has been no one found criminally responsible for his demise. In addition, a probe has not uncovered how he was poisoned. Another mysterious death is that of cricketer turned coach Bob Woolmer. Even though a commission of inquiry ruled that no one was criminally responsible for the death of English cricketer turned coach Bob Woolmer in 2007, his death still remains a mystery. He was coaching Pakistan's cricket team at the time. Just a few hours after the Pakistan's team unexpected elimination at the hands of the Ireland team, he was found dead in the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston. It was first believed that his cause of death was an heart attack, but today his death remains a mystery after the pathologist ruled that Woolmer died from asphyxiation due to manual strangulation. He was found dead in the bathroom of his hotel room following the team's devastating first-round loss to Ireland. An inquiry into his death ended inconclusively, with a jury returning an open verdict after hearing testimony from more than 50 people. To this day, the disappearance of U.S. travel writer Claudia Kirscohoch remains a mystery. In May 2000, Claudia and her colleague Tamia landed in Negril on their way to Havana, Cuba, but their journey to Cuba was cancelled at the last minute. They both checked into a resort in the western town and started to, quote, living it up. 29-year-old Claudia made friends with a bartender, Anthony Grant, who offered to take her to a local club. Tamia had booked a return ticket to New York and agreed to meet up with Claudia, but the writer seemed to have vanished in thin air. She was reportedly last seen by a lifeguard walking away from the resort where she stayed. Further investigations revealed that a housemaid at the hotel found that she had not slept in her bed for 4 days. Jamaican authorities investigated the possibility that Claudia had drowned. This was strengthened by the fact that only her bathing suit was missing and that she was last seen at the beach. However, authorities determined that it did not have deep waters and the current was not very strong. It was also discovered that the bartender that took Claudia to the club called in sick the next day and was out of work for the next 4 days. She has not been seen or heard from since. Kenneth Jones was tipped to take over the reins of the top job from then Prime Minister Alexander Bustamante. Kenneth Jones was a prominent member of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party administrations in the 1960s and was the Minister of Communications and Works. While attending a cabinet retreat at an hotel in Montego Bay, St. James, Kenneth Jones fell from a balcony. His death was ruled to be a result of him sleepwalking, but many Jamaicans threw cold water on the official explanation and held true to the theory that he was pushed to his death. The burning of the Eventide home in May 1980, which resulted in the deaths of 146 elderly women, many of them blind and disabled, remains a mystery to this day. At the site of that tragic incident now stands the community known as Terrington Park, which in itself has seen its fair share of brutal murders. The country was engulfed in a civil war triggered by bitter political rivalry between the governing People's National Party and the opposition, the Jamaica Labour Party. Although it was never officially stated, the general view was that the Eventide fire was the works of political thugs. To date, no one has been charged for the terrible tragedy which saw the bodies of the women buried in 26 wooden caskets at the National Heroes Park in Kingston. Although this case is not as old as the previous cases, it is still a mystery to some Jamaicans as to what happened to Jasmine Deen. The young woman, who is in her first year at the university, is visually impaired. She was last seen on Thursday, February 27, 2020 in Papine, St. Andrew, wearing a white blouse and a blue jeans. In June of the said year, police charged 40-year-old Dathan Henry, otherwise called Lavish, of Bull Bay, St. Andrew, and 36-year-old Gregor Wright otherwise called G, in the case relating to Jasmine Deen's disappearance. However, it is not clear whether the two remains in police custody. After more than a year, the family of Jasmine Deen is still seeking closure for the sudden disappearance of their relative.